your boy Pella. You already know. You see the micro braids, right? See the sister. This is her. This is her. This is just a paint of her. Alright? So you see the micro braids. This is from a book, Willis and Huggins, Introduction to African Civilization, right? Because that Theodore Sickles quote reminded me of this a little bit. That's why I want to read this back to back, right? He says, before there was any, shout out to my man BJ and everybody else in the gym, my brothers, sisters reaching out, want to learn. But check this out, y'all. He said before, and my boy Dave Palmer always sharing the post, right? He said before there was any glory, there was Greece, or grandeur, that was Rome. The monarchs of Egypt were creating empires, building pyramids, fashioning colossi using measurements to the billionth of the inch, devising chemicals and arraying themselves in all combinations of the spectrum. The splendor of Egypt was not a mere mushroom growth, lasting but a few hundred years. Where Greece and Rome can count their supremacy by the century, Egypt count hers by the millennium. Willis and Huggins, Introduction to African Civilization. Okay, so this reminds me of that Theodore Sickles quote, right? Where he was talking about how we said we invented writing, observed the stars, geometry, the arts. So let's read this again. He said, before there was any glory, that was Greece, or the grandeur of Rome. And so in school, we always talk about Greece, Rome, empires. But for them to have an empire, where do they get the whole entire concept from? Having an empire. Empires are not continents. They cover multiple continents, right? It says the monarchs of Egypt were her, right? The monarchs. See the sister with the micro, you see it, right? Right, that's her. Look, right. Fashioning colossi, using measurements to the billionth of an inch, devising chemicals and arraying themselves in all combination of spectrum. The splendor of Egypt was not a mere mushroom growth. So he's saying they had the measurements to the billionth of an inch. When they talk about, when they measured the earth and knew it was a spear to the T of an inch. You know what I'm saying? And chemicals where clothes never lose their color to this day, 1,000 years later, when we are, and they knew how to change coal to gold, which is what the book The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho is about, right? We said they knew how to make anything into gold. We had gold everywhere. So like King Tut was buried in gold. It's nothing. It's nothing to us, right? And arraying themselves in all combinations of spectrum, the splendor of Egypt was not a mere mushroom growth, lasting but a few hundred years. Where Greece and Rome can count their supremacy by the century, Egypt count hers by the millennium. Now somebody said, basically what he's saying is how they talk about Greece and Rome, that was like 200, 300 years. Egypt was thousands of years. This is the brother, right? Thousands, right? And people would say, maybe this guy's just fronting. He's just saying that to because he a so-called black man trying to pump their head up, right? So long. All right. And so I want to go back to this with Theodore Sickles, written in between 60 and 30 BC. When he says that the Egyptians, King Tut and them, assert that the invention of writing, the observation of stars, originated with them, besides the discovery of geometrical principles and most of the arts, and the promulgation of the best laws. And they say the surest proof of these claims is that the kings of Egypt for over 4,700 years were natives, while the country was the most prosperous on the earth. So he's talking, this is in 60, between 60 and 30 BC, where he says for over 4,700 years, the kings were native while they were the most prosperous. They prospered more than anybody. These black folks, right? Thousands of years, not hundreds, right? So I just showed you how King Tut looks. So you see the sister micro braid, so you know that's her, right? And so when this guy says Egypt was not a mere mushroom lasting but a few hundred years. We just saw in 6030 BC, that guy said 4,700 years. Where Greece and Rome can count their supremacy by the century, Egypt can count hers by the millennium. Well, they were saying that even in 60 and 30 BC. That was a European Diodorus Siculus. So this is what you need to be learning. How you were organized thousands of years, how we were organized thousands of years. Not no hundreds of years. Thousands, 4,700 years, that's a long time, man. That guy wrote that in between 60 and 30 BC. And so I just wanted to show you, see the sister? That's how a queen looks. Never say you never seen how a queen look. Look, it's a painter of her. How when we were supreme by the millennium, 4,700. And she's also a queen who helped save Egypt when they got conquered one time. But we didn't dig into all that, but I just wanted to make sure I hit y'all with something to build upon. But never look, they all know. What she said, where Greece and Rome can count their supremacy by the century, Egypt count hers by the millennium. 6030 BC. And they say the sure proof of these claims is that the kings of Egypt for over 4,700 years were natives, while the country was the most prosperous on the face of the earth. So just be you, man, and know thyself, all right? And everything will take care of itself, all right? Love y'all. Peace. It's your boy J Pillar.